is Voice of Korea.
This is Voice of Korea.
This is Voice of Korea.
This is Voice of Korea. Dear listeners, now we start English language service of Voice of Korea from Pyongyang, the capital of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. Here is a mixed chorus, song of General Kim Il-sung. Open your mail, Khabarovsk. Song of General Kim Jong-il.
You're listening to VOK, Voice of Korea, News 9.
Kim Jong-un, Chairman of the Workers' Party of Korea and Chairman of the State Affairs Commission and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, watched the test fire of super-large multiple rocket launches undertaken by the Academy of Defense Science. It was watched by General Park Jong-chun, Chief of the General Staff of the Korean People's Army and commanders of the large combined units of the Army. The running test fire was aimed at making a final examination of the combat applicability of the super-large multiple rocket launches. It proved that the military and technical superiority and firm reliability of the weapon system. Kim Jong-un expressed great satisfaction over the result of the test fire. The commanders of the large combined units of the Korean People's Army respectfully offered greetings of congratulations and thanks to Kim Jong-un, who had many arms and equipment with great power developed and completed this year alone to strengthen the People's Army militarily and technically.
Mosaic murals of the great leaders Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il were set up in different units. The mosaic murals of smiling Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il, the great leader comrade Kim Il-sung will always be with us, and the great leader comrade Kim Jong-il will always be with us, were erected at the Wonsan livestock farm. The mosaic mural, the great leaders Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il among coal miners, was built at the Seoksung coal mine. The officials and workers of the Jangbang Cooperative Farm in Haeju City and the Gutan Cooperative Farm in Songhwa County set up mosaic murals of the great leaders who were so concerned to solve the full problem of the people throughout their lives. Set up at the Jiazhu Engine Branch Factory of the Seungrim Motor Complex is a mosaic mural of the great leaders who paid deep attention to the development of the Juche-based automobile industry of the country and led it step by step. Inaugural ceremonies of the mosaic murals were held in those units. The railway work for the Yangtze Hot Spring Resort is progressing at the final stage in the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. The construction of railway bridge, roadbed, retaining walls, and drainage structures has been already completed. At the railway tunnel construction site, pilot drive and extension and upper concrete tamping have already been finished. Electrification and laying of signal communication line are now being promoted at a fast speed along with the bottom concrete lining and groundwork. The project for laying railway along the whole section has exceeded the line of 98% in total amount of work. A national scientific presentation in the field of chemical industry took place at the Namhung Youth Chemical Complex between November the 26th and the 28th under the sponsorship of the Central Committee of the General Federation of Science and Technology of Korea. Present there were teachers, researchers, postgraduate students, and field officials of Kim Il-sung University, Kim-Chaek University of Technology, Kim Hyung-sik University of Education, the Suncheon Ri-Su-bok University of Chemical Industry, the State Academy of Sciences, and the Namhung Youth Chemical Complex. The presentation was held divided into panels of C1 chemical industry, inorganic chemistry, catalyst and analysis, and fiber paper. Presented there were more than 160 papers on recent scientific successes and experiences gained in the chemical industry. During the presentation, there were lectures on the prospect of the development of phosphoric products in the DPRK. Certificates and prizes were awarded to the presenters of excellent papers. A national scientific presentation in the field of fish farming was held at the Academy of Fisheries Science of the Ministry of Fisheries on November the 26th and the 27th under the sponsorship of the Central Committee of the General Federation of Science and Technology of Korea. Present there were teachers, researchers, postgraduate students, and field officials of different units, including Kim Il-sung University, Kim Hyung-sik University of Education, the Wonsan University of Fisheries, the State Academy of Sciences, Research Institute under the Academy of Fisheries Science of the Ministry of Fisheries, and the Nampo Fish Farm. More than 40 papers were presented to the presentation. During the presentation, there was a lecture on the world trend of developing fish farming and culture and on breeding rainbow trout. Certificates and prizes were awarded to the presenters of excellent papers. Members of the delegation of the Russian Association for the Study of the Juche Idea, who had visited the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, admired the superiority of the socialist system of Korean style. Alexei Sahunin said, "In the DPRK, it is fundamentals of politics and state policy to ensure all the rights men should enjoy on the highest level. Only in the DPRK, the party and the state provide the working people with good living conditions. The DPRK, where the working people have become the masters of the society and enjoyers of genuine civilization, is a utopia dreamed by humanity," he stressed. Alexei Zorov said, "Many people do not know the DPRK properly because of the false propaganda of the West," and added that whoever comes to see the reality of Korea will be surprised. Daniel Jazukun said, "Popular policies are invariably enforced despite the lasting vicious sanctions and blockade of the imperialists, which clearly proves that socialism of Korean style is invincible." Today, the DPRK is ushering in a great heyday of building a powerful socialist country under the wise leadership of Kim Jong-un, he said, and stressed that the world should follow the experience of Korea. National foods are actively encouraged in Kaesong City. The Kaesong City Public Catering Management Station often organizes consultative meetings of service workers and Kaesong special food shows, and widely introduces and generalizes the experiences of the exemplary units and families to widen the realm of national foods and improve their quality. The Lochi Soup House, serving the customers with Lochi soup registered as a national intangible cultural heritage, has been rebuilt on an expansion basis. It is popular among the citizens and those from other localities. Different kinds of national foods, such as table-d'hôte, sweet rice dish, shinsolro or chafing dish, and wrapped-up kimchi served by the Kaesong Folk Hotel and the Tongil restaurant, are attracting the attention of the customers for their unique flavor and fragrance.
Are the eyes of Abe coated with bean flour? Press statement of Deputy Department Director for Japanese Affairs of the DPRK Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
a fool cannot be mended with medicine. This is just becoming to the Japanese Prime Minister Abe, who has completely revealed his ignorance and stupidity by describing a running test flight of super large multiple rocket launchers as a ballistic missile launch. It is because Abe continues to play fool of not distinguishing soybean from azuki bean. In early November, he slandered our test fire of super large multiple rocket launchers as ballistic missile firing, even at the venue of the ASEAN Summit meeting. So, he was abused as an underweight, rare deformed man who does not distinguish multiple rocket launcher from missile. After all, he experienced the hot agony of shame. On November the 28th, too, when our running test fire of super large multiple rocket launchers was successful amid great satisfaction, Abe hurriedly called an emergency state security meeting and recklessly said, "It is a ballistic missile launch and a serious challenge to the international community." In the wake of Abe, the chief cabinet secretary, the defense minister, the foreign minister, and the infidels and media of Japan describe it as a ballistic missile launch. It is reminiscent of small dogs barking in the wake of a big dog. We have reported a recent test fire along with big pictures of a launch in the meaning that such fools as Abe should not mistake again, but clearly see what flew with their own eyes. However, Abe does not distinguish the multiple rocket launcher from missile while seeing the pictures through which even the civilians as well as soldiers can recognize at a glance. Surely he is the only and unprecedented idiot in the world and the worst fool. The whole world acknowledges our recent test fire as that of multiple rocket launchers. But only Abe is acting strangely, as if a big event happened, while insisting the multiple rocket launcher as a missile, ridiculed by the world people. He seems to be a coward dog or a puppy playing a trick with its tail so as to flatter the United States, his master. Anyway, we see him as nothing but dog. Maybe he has made a calculation that the United States will like a queer voice of threat from North Korea at this moment when the DPRK-US negotiations are at a deadlock. Certainly, the brain of the political dwarf is as good as that of a sparrow. Abe is acting rashly, with his eyes coated with soy flour and his face covered with iron shit. So it is quite natural for him to be treated as a thin-haired puppy, prowling about without taking part in the international politics. If we have dealings with such a rare idiot, unsatisfactory dwarf, only bad luck to bring shame is expected. Therefore, it is good for us not to face him forever from the very start. This is our idea, which gets firmer with each passing day. What's more, it is ridiculous that he described the multiple rocket launcher recognized by those even across the ocean as a ballistic missile, though he is living in the position nearest to us with the East Sea of Korea between. It is really awkward for him to talk about a serious challenge not only to Japan but also to the international community, threat from North Korea, and protest, even though our shells did not fall in the Japanese waters. Though nobody beat him, Abe is obstinate in saying that he was beaten. Clearly, he is stupid. There is a Korean saying that a fool invites beating while carrying a castle on his shoulder. Abe will be able to see what the real ballistic missile is like before long and very nearby. We advise him to compare the multiple rocket launcher and the ballistic missile properly and remember their difference. Abe is a perfect fool and an uncommon political dwarf. Pyongyang estimates Abe like this. Pyongyang, November 30th, Suche 108 or 2019.
You are listening to VLK, Voice of Korea, Kim Hyun-ok, Ma Kum-sung, and Ri Hyang-sim in Pyongyang. Now we present female solo and chorus. We will follow you with one mind.
Devotion for the children. Children are the precious treasure incompatible with any amount of money and the whole of hope and future. This is what the respected Supreme Leader Kim Jong-un always says to the officials. Kim Jong-un is devoting himself to the rising generations with his ardent love for them. He visited the Myeongsan Children's Union Mountaineering Camp belonging to Pyongyang City in May 102 of 2013. The camp was located in a cozy valley of Mount Myeongyang, well known for its superb scenic beauty. Kim Jong-un walked the mountain path and arrived at the camp. He looked around different places to learn about the life of the campers in detail. He asked how the heating system was provided, how the bedding and washing were ensured, how the campers were provided with furs, and if the meat, eggs, and vegetables as well as basic foodstuffs were supplied to them at a fixed quantity. He said that when the children have their fill and are cheerful, the whole country may be filled with their happy laughter, and proposed building up the camp well in accordance with the demand of the times. He continued, "We are making revolution, overcoming all difficulties and trials, just for the children. We should provide them with a happy life to be envied by the whole world, so that they feel the pride of socialism and the Workers' Party." That day, Kim Jong-un waited for the children to come back from their mountaineering for a long time and had a picture taken with them before leaving the camp. He also visited the Mangyongdae Children's Union Camp, the December 6th Children's Union Camp of Gangwon Province, the 250-mile journey for learning school children's Palace, and the Sangjeon School Children's Palace. Under his loving care, the Korean children are growing up with nothing to envy in the world. You've been listening to an account under the title, Devotion for the Children. This is Voice of Korea.
Now we present the light music for piano, Longing for His Embrace. We now bring you the song, Our National Flag. Seeing a blue and red flag fly in the blue sky, our hearts beat high and are aboard with patriotism. The fierce flutter represents the breath of the motherland. The flag, as precious as life, carries the destiny of the people. We will love our brilliant national flag, flutter to the end of the earth. will appreciate the light music for violin. Pyongyang is best. Here is orchestral music, I Think Looking at You, performed by the National Symphony Orchestra.
Dear listeners, with this we conclude the English language service of Voice of Korea from the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. Voice of Korea presents its English language service for Europe between 15 and 16 hours UTC, between 18 and 19 hours UTC, between 21 and 22 hours UTC, and between 13 and 14 hours UTC on 7,570 kHz and 12,015 kHz. For North America, between 15 and 16 hours UTC and between 13 and 14 hours UTC on 9,435 kHz and 11,710 kHz. And for Northeast Asia, between 4 and 5 hours UTC and between 6 and 7 hours UTC on 7,220 kHz, 9,445 kHz, and 9,730 kHz. Goodbye, this is Pyongyang.